Death will come to all of us at some point. It is an unavoidable reality. Death, on the other hand, has an uncanny and intriguing way of removing us from the gene pool. In our top 10 list of the strangest deaths in history, you'll find classic examples of people dying in strange, wild, and unfortunate ways.
Welcome to The Amazing Facts. Stay tuned.
10 truly strange deaths. Number 10. Francis Bacon. Francis Bacon, statesman, philosopher, creator of the English essay, and supporter of the scientific revolution, was one of the very few people to die as a result of their own experiments. In 1625, whilst gazing out the window at a snowy afternoon, Sir Francis Bacon had an epiphany of sorts. Why wouldn't snow work as a meat preservative in the same way that salt does? Bacon rushed to town to buy a chicken, brought it home, and began the experiment, oblivious to the weather. He killed the chicken and attempted to stuff it with snow while standing outside in the snow. The experiment was a failure. The chicken did not freeze, and Bacon developed a fatal case of pneumonia as a result of standing around in the freezing weather. Bacon roasted and ate the chicken in an attempt to delay the inevitable. That was another failed experiment. He passed away. Number 9. Horace Wells. Horace Wells, an American dentist born in Vermont and educated in Boston, was a pioneer in the field of anesthesia. He was one of the first practitioners to recognize the value of nitrous oxide or laughing gas as an anesthetic, after becoming tired of screaming patients. Wells became a traveling anesthetic salesman and European expert for his former partner, Gardner Quincy Colton, after a failed experiment and falling out of favor with the medical community. His investigations resulted in a chloroform addiction, which would be his undoing. Wells ran into the street in 1848, delirious and deranged after a week of self-experimentation, and attacked 2 prostitutes with sulfuric acid. He was arrested and imprisoned in New York's notorious Tombs prison. As he recovered from the drug-induced psychosis, the true horror of his actions became clear. Unable to bear the shame, Wells committed suicide by inhaling a large dose of chloroform and then severing his femoral artery. Number 8. Tycho Brahe. Brahe was an alchemist and astronomer whose pioneering observations of planetary motion helped Sir Isaac Newton develop the theory of gravity. Unfortunately, brilliance and common sense do not always go hand in hand, as evidenced by the manner of his death. Despite having a weak bladder and knowing that leaving the banquet table before the festivities were over was bad manners, Brahe failed to relieve himself before dinner. To make matters worse, he was known to drink excessively, and this banquet was no exception. He was too polite to ask to be excused, so his bladder strained, resulting in a prolonged agonizing death. It's unclear whether he died of a burst bladder, hyponatremia, or mercury poisoning. Number 7. Attila the Hun. Attila the Hun, history's most brilliant tactician, warlord, and notorious villain, conquered all of Asia by 450 AD using a combination of fierce combat and ruthless assimilation. Attila and his armies drove Mongolia to the very edge of the Russian Empire. Attila, known for his frugal eating and drinking habits, must have thought his own wedding was cause for celebration. Marrying a young girl named Ildiko in 453 AD, he overindulged in both food and drink. His nose began to bleed shortly after retiring for the evening. Because he was too drunk to notice, it continued to bleed, eventually drowning him in his own blood. Number 6. Aeschylus. Aeschylus is regarded as the father of tragedy and is the first of 3 ancient Greek playwrights whose works have survived. Instead of actors interacting solely with the chorus, he expanded the characters in a play so that there was conflict between them. Sophocles and Euripides famously followed in his footsteps. Legend has it that while visiting Jelly on the island of Sicily, an eagle mistook Aeschylus' bald pate for a stone and dropped a tortoise on his head, killing him. According to some accounts, a stone was dropped on his head because the eagle mistook his shining crown for an egg. This isn't as far-fetched as it appears. The lammergeier, also known as the bearded vulture, is a Mediterranean native known for dropping bones and tortoises on rocks to break them open. Number 5. King Adolf Fredrik of Sweden. From 1751 to 1771, Adolf's son Fredrik was the titular king of Sweden. Despite Adolf's best efforts, the omnipotent Riksdag or Senate retained control of the country. Adolphus Fredrik, another victim of personal excess, is known as the king who ate himself to death by Swedish children. On February 12, 1771, he moved on to his favorite dessert, semla, a traditional bun or pastry made from semolina wheat flour and served in a bowl of hot milk, after partaking in a banquet consisting of lobster, caviar, sauerkraut, smoked herring, and champagne. 1 or 2 portions would have sufficed. 14 portions were excessive. He died soon after from digestive problems. Number 4. Grigory Rasputin. Grigory Rasputin, the Mad Monk, was a peasant and mystic healer who gained favor with Russia's royal court by curing Crown Prince Alexei, a hemophiliac and heir to the throne. Rasputin, the unkempt, vulgar, and amazingly resilient ruler of the royal court, made many political enemies. He needed to leave. Much easier said than done. The conspirators tried poison first, enough to kill a man 3 times his size, but he appeared unaffected. After that, they crept up behind him and shot him in the head. This should have been enough. But the mystic grabbed the conspirator by the neck and strangled him while one of the assassins was checking his pulse. Running away, the would-be assassins pursued him, shooting him 3 times in the process. The gunshots slowed him down enough for his pursuers to catch up with him. They then bludgeoned him before throwing him into the icy cold river. When his body was discovered, an autopsy revealed that he died from drowning. Number 3. Isadora Duncan. Isadora Duncan is widely regarded as the founding mother of modern dance. Dora Angela Duncan was born in San Francisco, California, to divorced parents, her father a disgraced banker and her mother a pianist and music teacher. Her freeform style was never popular in her native country, but she achieved great success after moving to Paris. She founded 3 dance schools, and her image is carved above the entrance to the Fête des Champs-Élysées. Isadora Duncan died of a fractured neck and accidental strangulation after her scarf became entangled in the steering wheel of a car she was driving. The automobile was moving at full speed when the scarf of thick silk began looping around the wheel and with incredible force drew Miss Duncan, around whom it was securely wrapped, bodily over the side of the car, precipitated her with violence against the cobblestone street. She was pulled for several yards before the chauffeur, drawn by her cries on the street, came to a halt. Medical assistance was called, however it was later revealed that she had been strangled and killed instantly. Number 2. Christine Chubbuck. Christine Chubbuck hosted Suncoast Digest, a popular public affairs show on WXLT-TV in Sarasota, Florida. Christine read 8 minutes of national news items when the tape reel malfunctioned while narrating a shooting at the Beef and Bottle restaurant, breaking format. Christine glanced at the camera, seemed undisturbed by the technical issue, and said, "In keeping with Channel 40's objective of giving you the most recent in blood and guts, in full color, you will see another first, an attempted suicide." She took a handgun from behind her desk, positioned it behind her left ear, and pulled the trigger. She stumbled forward violently as the technical director faded to black. Some viewers dialed 911, while others called the broadcaster to confirm the incident. Later, camera woman Jean Reed remarked that she didn't believe it was real until she noticed Christian's body twitching on the floor. Number 1. Sharon Lopatka. Sharon Lopatka was a sick puppy and an internet entrepreneur. Sharon, who lived in Hampstead, Maryland, was killed by Robert Frederick Glass in a case of voluntary homicide. Sharon began a search for a companion willing to torture and murder her for their mutual sexual enjoyment while offering odd fetishist pornography on her website. She finally discovered Robert Glass, who was more than prepared to realize her desire after several false beginnings. They exchanged many texts, culminating in their meeting in North Carolina. Glass torturously tormented her for days before strangling her with a nylon cord. He was later found guilty of voluntary manslaughter and having child pornography in his hands.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe our channel for latest notifications.